Welcome to the Kee To Growth Podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success, starting now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Kee To Growth Podcast. I am your host, Jen McKee, and today we are here with another incredible marketing expert of the trades, Chris Vance. Chris, if people don't know who you are, let them know.
Hey there. Thanks so much for having me on today, Jen. I've been looking really forward to this. My name is Chris Vance. I am the executive marketing coach for Certain Path. We are a best practices organization that works with HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and roofing. We've got about 1,100 contractors across the U.S. and Canada, and I have the privilege of actually being the marketing coach, sounding board, strategy, sound off reporting, all of those things. So they all jump on my calendar and we have great conversations.
That honestly sounds like a dream job for someone like me. But I know some of you guys listening are probably like, I need to hop on his calendar. And that's what this episode is going to be about. So I'm excited. But let's start at the beginning. Like, how did you get into trades marketing?
So it's very interesting. Similar to you, I kind of fell back into it. I had my own agency for about 10 years, and I was really in the more digital space. And I worked everyone from location-based to enterprise clients. And along the way there, I really found my heart was with the small mom and pop. My wife is a professional dancer, so a lot of my clients were dance studios. You know, I've got a lot of physicians and chiropractors in my family. So just kind of you go with what you know, and some industrial clients.
Businesses.
Yeah. And so it kind of had run its course over 10 years, and I was getting bored with doing the stuff and realized that in order to close a lot of the deals, I was doing a lot of coaching to create the need. And so I was shifting toward coaching in my own business, and kind of my personal mission is to live a life of impact. And what I loved about working with small businesses, I could sit there, hear their story, and help them create a way to get that story out to their ideal customer. And I could see an impact on them, their lives, their business, their employees. And when the opportunity at Certain Path opened up, then SGI, it just felt like you said, a dream come true, because all of a sudden I'm able to have an impact at scale.
Yeah.
And so I've had the opportunity over the last almost 6 years now to work with hundreds of amazing people in the trades. It's the best kept secret in the nation, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. I love this. So I want to I want to touch on some different, so let's start here. So you said you work with businesses that are like 400,000 to 400 million. So I own a 400,000 trades company. What are some of the first things that you're going to tell me that I need to focus on in order to get to a million or that next level?
Absolutely. So the first thing you've got to focus on is your online presence. You know, like it or not, we're living in Google's world right now. I'm really enjoying seeing the sweat on their brow from AI coming in, but right now it is what it is. It's the last mile. So making sure that your website, your social media, your Google business platform, all of those things are really dialed in, so that when people do search for you and do look for you, you have something out there to validate. And so that's the online. And what I see too many people doing is they only focus there.
Mhm.
That's step one.
It feels easy.
It is, because then it's like, okay, I've done my marketing, check that off the box.
Right.
Now I can go turn a wrench. But it doesn't really work like that. You have got to be the ambassador of your brand. So they're not going to be looking for you if they don't know you. People do business with who they like and trust. And so you have to get out into your community. And I was listening to one of your podcasts driving in this morning. I think his name is Michael Johnson or something. You know, and he's talking about when he was hungry, he was putting business cards on windshield wipers outside the Home Depot. That you got to get just gut level guerrilla marketing about it. Go out and you're going to chambers of commerce, your BNI groups, you're showing up at Home Depot, you're doing what it takes so that you're letting people know who you are. And the thing about social media is kind of the digital version of the town square. So you're showing up in a way that is not just asking people for business, but people are seeing you as a part of their community. You build trust and you get jobs.
Yeah, except that feels like a lot of time and effort and money. So if someone is at that $400,000 mark or 500,000, like haven't hit a million, what is it like? How much time and money are you telling them would be a good investment? And I know that's hard to say, but even like percentage wise, or like, what can they expect to have to put into this, I guess might be a better question.
Yeah, I think that, if you look at marketing, it is always going to be kind of a balancing act between money and time. And so especially when you're starting out and you're around $400,000, you don't have a lot of money to put in. And so a lot of your money on the beginning is going to be getting your website up and focusing. Your main online spend right now should be optimizing your Google business page.
Right.
And, there's agencies out there that will help you do that for, you can get packages in the $1,000 to $1,500 a month range. So that is where you want to start your focus. And then the things that I'm talking about offline is where you're spending printing on door hangers, yard signs, and your feet on the street. If it costs for a breakfast to be at the chamber event, that's what it costs. And so you're really going to load down with things that are low cost marketing, unfortunately, are the higher time commitments. But if you don't have calls yet, you might as well be marketing, right?
Yeah. There's a couple of things I want to point out here. One of them is like, you mentioned you can get a website for $1,500, $2,500. That's true. That isn't your website that's going to take you to $5 million, but this is what you need. Because like you mentioned, if this isn't going to bring people in, people aren't going to find you with an SEO strategy at this point in your life. But when they do hear about you and they go to Google you need something that looks presentable. And so that's what this website is.
So that's okay. Just to clarify, not the website, but your Google business platform, the ongoing to kind of optimize for local search. For your website, I do not recommend doing the GoDaddy, the Wix, the Squarespace, all the builders for you, because they're not worth it. You want to get someone to at least do a template-based WordPress site that you can grow with. Because like you said, Jen, it's not going to be the site that grows you to 5 million, but you want something to at least grow you to 1 million to 2 million. So that you can make tweaks and build off where you have to rip all the things down to the studs and go again.
Yeah.
So, and with our members, members coming in here, we actually provide them with a free template-based WordPress website.
Dang, that's good stuff. There are actually two other things that I'm sure you can kind of talk on a little bit. One of them is that one thing I've noticed about when you're under $1 million is that a lot of times you could actually be higher in revenue, but you may not be paying as much attention to where your money's going. And I think when you're really small, that can be a dangerous thing. Is that something that you encounter where someone's looking for marketing and you're like, okay, we need to get some systems in your business in place so that you can actually do this in a profitable way?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that a lot of the conversations that I have, especially with the sub-million members that we do have, are conversations like that, because they don't know the questions to ask, even where they are today by being great technicians. And, it's like, you don't want to put me in front of an AC unit and say, go at it, Chris. It's not. So they don't know the questions to ask. So a lot of times what I'm doing is reminding them that I know it's a challenge to get on that monthly call. It pulls you away, but you need to, just like you wouldn't turn a tech loose for a year and pay them with ever checking in on whether or not they're doing what you hired them to do. A lot of people, that's how they hire them. That's how they manage their marketing company. It needs to be a partnership. You need to find a partner in a marketing company that's going to help educate you on the right questions to ask. How do we define success? And so, I see that is a lot of the coaching that I do, is just how to stay on top of what you're spending and how not to chase the shiny objects. That marketing is just constantly a flood of shiny objects coming across your desk. And, somebody promises you that you're going to get to the top of Google and stay there forever. That sounds pretty good for $1,500.
Yeah, that sounds not reasonable. So, okay, shiny objects. Like, what are some of the shiniest objects that you're seeing pop up over and over again that maybe aren't the best use of attention?
A lot of sounds too good to be true lead gen programs, people talking about how easily it is to generate all of these replacement leads on social media for a very low price. The example I made of getting, it'll take us a year to get you to the top of the maps in Google, but once you're there, you're there. And literally they locked in a contract for a year and would do the work for a year, walk away, and the person would think that they were going to be there forever. And so the pitch was really good, but it's just, if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yeah, you're right. Those, like, we can get you 15 leads a week or whatever, and they'll text you and Facebook message you and email you. Every business owner gets that for whatever their business is. I don't know how people can run a business saying stuff like that. It's so not true.
I know. It's so maddening. And, there are legitimate lead gen services out there, but at the end of the day, and a lot of times when you're growing, those are some of the places that you're gonna, like your Angie, your home used to be Home Advisor, your Angie Leads, those kind of things. We've got several lead gen companies in our network, Service Direct and EverConnect, some of those type of vendors that will provide leads. But a lot of times, depending on the strategy that the lead gen company is using, most of the time, the type of customer that you're going to generate out of that is the tire kickers, the ones that are going to keep you up on price. So sometimes it's necessary just to get the phone to ring, but you have to be scrappy and you have to have your processes, like you said, the processes in place on the operational side so that you're turning that into a 5-star customer service experience that they weren't expecting, that you're going to win the deal regardless of price.
Yeah. So let's talk about that next level. And so now you're working with somebody who is able to pull themselves out of the truck and they're in a leadership position. What kind of marketing are you strategizing at that level?
At that level, you're, if not just, before that, once, when we're talking about 400,000, you're like bare bones level. But as you're growing toward that million, at some point early on, really dialing in on your brand, who you are, what you look like, your name, your logo, your message, so that you're wrapping your trucks so that when you're driving through a neighborhood, your people are noticing you when you're showing up, when you're pulling the floats at the July 4th parade, those kind of things. You really want to start getting your brand so that you're beyond just a link or a name that they're seeing on a search result. They're starting to associate something they've seen. So you're starting to incorporate more of the senses. So as you start to develop more of a budget, even just the beginnings of a budget, it's focusing more and more on the branding side of it and getting outside of just the Google basket. And if you've been building, depending on lead gen sources, it's building more toward how do I own that track? So it's starting to invest more into local service ads and maybe pay-per-click, direct mail, and, just again, more events. How can I get more into the community, social media, all of these things to start fleshing out more of a basket of marketing strategies rather than just having one that I'm trying to poke at. I want people to get to know me before they do.
So like building the brand awareness, in which one of the advantages of having a strong brand is you can charge more and you're not playing on price. You're now a premium offer rather than just someone to fix the solution or someone to be the solution to whatever problem is being dealt with.
Yeah, 100%. And especially with the trades, and been here for 6.5 years, but it's still recent enough in my memory of being just your typical Joe homeowner that didn't realize I was supposed to maintain my HVAC once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And so, and having had the experiences of the Chucks and trucks show up with, maybe a magnet or letters on their truck versus someone that showed up with an actual business and processes, I'm a girl dad, so I've got a wife and 2 daughters. It makes a difference for me, whether I'm paying somebody that's been background checked and drug tested, that means something to me as opposed to just somebody that shows up and says that they do HVAC. Well, they might do HVAC today. They might be doing handyman tomorrow. They might be doing pressure washing the next day. I want somebody that's going to help me take care of what's likely my largest investment. And that, that kind of demonstrates that when you can present a brand, the perception, controlling that perception is key.
Yeah, absolutely. So I recently at Pantheon last year, actually, one of my clients I introduced him to another client of mine who had invested really heavily in their brand pretty early on. And his question was like, I'm thinking about doing a rebrand. I'm thinking about investing in radio ads and TV commercials and which one should I do first? And what should I, cause there's now we're talking a pretty hefty investment, maybe $50,000, $100,000. You keep getting trucks. You're having to wrap all of them. Now you've got 30 trucks that you're wrapping or, whatever, the investment just keeps growing. And so I think that is kind of the tough thing is and it sounds obvious, what do I do first? Oh, you're branding first, but radio ads could bring in leads faster or whatever, so I can see that still which one is more important now type of situation. But how do you help people navigate situations like that?
Yeah, we're very focused on, there's a lot of stuff in the sauce of when is the right time to cross that line and into radio or television and broadcast. OTT has kind of brought that line sooner.
Yeah.
But that's not the first place you want to be. You want to be doing more of the feet on the street, more of the low cost branding. It's going to be a chunk of your overall marketing pie. But the thing about, like you said, radio and television, traditional advertising like that is very expensive. And the on-ramp for those to be impactful is not instant.
Yeah.
And so you have to know that the marketing spend that you're still spending on direct marketing is enough to keep your current business, your guys rolling, your trucks rolling, so that you've got enough coming in.
Mm-hmm.
100%. So once you get to the point in your budget where you can allocate a sizable chunk of your spend toward broadcast without impacting the lead flow that you currently have, that's when you're able to start expanding into the broadcast arena.
Yeah. What about investing in branding? Another thing that I keep thinking of while you're saying this is that, so when I have conversations with people about, they will potentially want to work with us for social media. And as important as social media is at every single level of your business, because it is, investing in a company like ours is not your first investment in marketing. It's not where you need to be putting your marketing dollars. You need to be putting your time into that area, but not your marketing dollars. The events is also a big question that I ask people is like, how involved are you in the community? And so often I hear, oh yeah, that's on our list this year. Like, I swear to you, I hear that all the time. It's like, okay, so every year, and obviously it's different people, but it's on everyone's list every year. And I'll tell you, the people that I've had on this podcast, the contractors that I've had on this podcast that have done extremely well. And I purposely bring people on here who have really great marketing, and they're all so involved in the community still. So I think like that's a big one of like, how did they get started there, or how do they continue and keep up with that and, be at every parade and do all of those things?
Yeah. And, kind of you're hitting it spot on, because if I look at the success stories that we've got inside a certain path, it's almost 100%. I'm sure I could find some that didn't, but the ones that have been the real success stories that we see, you go and you look at their social media, their website. If you drive into their town, people know who they are, not necessarily just because they do great work, because they're a part of the community. And that's my soapbox right now, is because of that is, yes, you've got to do all of the direct marketing and lead gen and all of that kind of stuff. But what really puts that on steroids is when people are seeing you show up to things that matter to them in a way that you're not pitching them something, you're locking arms with them and saying, hey, we're a part of this community, whether it's partnering with a charitable organization that matters, that matches up to your core, or whether it's just, like I said, just being in the parade, being here and there. And it begins to kind of flow like a flywheel, kind of building into the budget from there. Is that was free for you to show up, or maybe it costs an entry fee into the parade or whatever that is, but you're showing up and you're starting to build there, and you're getting images and video that you can then use on your social media. And it just kind of builds from there. And I think a lot of times when we talk about branding, our mind instantly goes to television, radio, billboards, all of these great broadcast wide nets that are very expensive. But, at the smaller level, it's just like you said, when you're smaller, it's the time you need to be posting, capturing the image from these events that are low cost for you to be a part of. And then as you get the level, a part of that branding spend could be with a company like yours, or really investing to take your social media to that next level of awareness, and the different things that you can do, the guerrilla marketing that really pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that it's so much easier to convert someone into a customer when they already know who you are. And then there's already so much value added. It's not, again, going back to like, it's not an issue of, well, they're the cheapest ones or the most affordable ones, but it's like, no, this is who, like, we called them because we want to work with them. We keep seeing them. They seem like they're the people that we're supposed to call for this, because we keep seeing their name and their brand everywhere. And so they're calling you with intentions on already being a customer. And that's just such an easier, and I hate to say the word conversion, right? Because it sounds like everything is just about sales, but it's really about being the solution to these people's problems and them trusting you enough to know that you're the person that they want to work with. And that's what being in the community does. That's what having a strong brand does. That's what being active on social media and being visible does for you over time. That's what brand awareness is.
Yeah. And the thing that it has to be authentic, because, as we're talking about brand, you can't talk about brand without knowing that your brand is a promise that you're making to a customer. And so if your operations, if you present yourself as one way and you show up that's complete opposite of that, you're not going to go anywhere. So you have to make sure that phones are answered to how your tech is running the call, how you're following up on that you're delivering, and where that brand promise just flows through every touch point with that customer. And I think that is so critical.
Yeah. Are there any like really unique or fun marketing campaigns that any of your clients have done that they told you about, or maybe you guys talked about, and then when it was executed, it was just like, man, that was so cool. Like, and then you just have to tell other people to do it.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are not so sexy. Some of the funnest, some of the most impactful ones are kind of boring, but some of the fun ones ones that I've seen are, we've got a member in Seattle, Washington, that a couple of the owners and one of their managers, they're dressed in their uniforms and they're going around and made a music video in the house around AC units where they're doing a song that's like in the Boys to Men style. And just it was hilarious. And they put it on YouTube, got like 500,000 views. It was crazy.
Yeah, I love that.
And so, but again, it's got to be authentic because that's their personality if you meet them.
Right.
And we've got different ones that are, I know in Colorado, we've got a member that's got just a pair of cowboy boots and a bare leg. And, the caption is something like, does this sign make you hot? Well, it's time to check your AC, things like that just kind of taking a turn, taking something common and giving it a little twist and playing from there is kind of just grabbing that attention and then setting the hook.
Yeah. We have a client who did a rap video a couple years ago and we repost it all the time and it always does so well. So a little tip there, you can always repost your fun content over and over.
Yep.
And then I'm in San Antonio, Texas, and there's an AC company that always had those like your wife is hot signs, which remember still, honestly, I have to say, I don't know who the company is, which is kind of a problem, but I did always love that sign of like your wife is hot.
Yeah. And that's a great point too. When you're branding and you're doing that, you got to remember to keep your brand center.
Right. So people do know who to call.
You want it to associate and remember.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. So tell us one of the non-sexy ones that was really successful, because that'll be helpful.
And this is another low cost one. And this was in a conversation with a member that's a $20+ million member in Denver, that she said, you know what, one of our best producing campaigns we did over the summer was we got a weekly home buyers list, the new homeowners going in, and we would just put a letter together that welcomes them to the community, says, hey, we know you're just moving in. Here's a coupon. Here's a magnet for the refrigerator. We'll double the value of the coupon on your first service into the neighborhood. And so it's connecting, and you're one of the first pieces of mail in the box. You're not in a welcome wagon where you're just one of thousands. It's actually connecting, making that first touch so that you're kind of setting an early hook there. And I think they spent, the first month of that campaign, they spent $300 and had $75,000 worth of revenue come in from it.
Nice. That's awesome. That got me thinking too. So when do you suggest to people that they bring on a marketing manager or marketing assistant, some sort of marketing support with them?
Yeah. Probably before you bring on a marketing manager, you're going to probably be in the $5 to $7 million range realistically, because you want to have enough of your spend to cover their salary. Bringing on a marketing assistant, you can get much, much sooner. A lot of times I've seen a lot of members that kind of do dual roles with their CCRs where
we see that too.
Covering that. Other half is covering a lot of the marketing area. And you can start that, as soon as you've got your call center starting to build out, you can start doing that pretty early.
I think it's so important. I mean, I know I've said this in the podcast before, but I want to say it until someone hears me. But like owners can be such bottlenecks to their marketing, and it's any level. I mean, I own a social media agency. There's multiple people in our agency that support our marketing efforts, and not our clients. Like obviously we do, that is what we do, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like I can't, as the owner of this company, be in charge of all of our marketing efforts. It wouldn't happen. There would be too many days or too many weeks that other things would come up and it wouldn't get done. And that's what happens when the owner is the only person owning the marketing. So I would even say, be so controversial as to say, like, start with a virtual assistant who can help you with some things, and you can get something like that for $2,000 a month or even less for full-time help and though that person, even if they're not there, can help you with getting together graphic stuff for your door hangers or for mailers. It can be, you can get them Service Titan certified and they can work in Marketing Pro and send out your emails and your mailers straight from there. They can help you ensure that your social media is getting posted on every platform and that things are getting answered when people ask questions. Like there's so many things that even a virtual assistant can help you do at the lowest level that you're at. $400,000. You could afford $2,000 a month for someone to help you keep your marketing in check.
Yeah, it's very true. And the thing too, and especially I think a lot of the owners get in the bottleneck of perfect is the enemy of good. And so they just get into this analysis paralysis where it's just sitting on the desk and never making it out into the wild where it needs to be.
Right. Something that goes out that isn't exactly right is going to be so much more impactful than something that never goes out. Like it sounds so silly, but like, come on, just put it out there. Put it out there. I'm not a perfectionist, which I know is like one of my superpowers, even though there's nothing wrong with perfectionists. It's great. But one of the girls on my team, and she's such an asset. She's incredible. And she's such a perfectionist. And so many many conversations I have with her. It's like, it's okay if it's not right. We just need to like test it, and then we'll figure out what needs to be fixed on it after it's tested, and then we'll fix it then. Like, that's okay. That's actually like, that's way better than trying to get it perfect the first time, because we don't even know if it's never actually been used. Like, we won't be able to tell. So
yeah, it's true. And I'm guilty of it. I tend to lean more toward the perfection side. So it's just, I have to set my discipline of going, okay, this is going to be the hard thing I do today. I'm going to hit post.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Just get it done. Okay. So on the Kee To Growth podcast, the last question we ask everybody is the same question. If you just listen to this podcast, then you may already know what this is. But the question is, what is the key to growth?
I think just keep showing up. It's consistency and tenacity. And especially right now with what's going on in the nation, I'm starting to hear the conversations again that have been heard at the supply houses, that they're listening to the news. Turn off the noise and just control what you can control.
Right.
And right now, especially in times like these, and we saw it during COVID, is such an opportunity to, when other people get scared and pull back, that's available mind share for you to take. So
yeah,
press in and lean in, and next year you'll be thanking me for that statement.
I 100% agree with that. Sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT, like, because I ignore everything, because I'm like, if it's not in my control, I can't do anything about it. But then I'm like, I don't want to have my head in the sand. And
Right.
so I'll ask ChatGPT, like, what should I be doing? And it's like, keep moving forward, keep doing what you're doing, keep showing up. Like, that's the only thing you can do. There's nothing else to do right now. That's all you can do. So if people want to find you and connect with you, where should they go?
I think my LinkedIn profile, just my name, Chris Vance, is probably the best place to find me.
And then Certain Path, or like, if they do they have to be a Certain Path member in order to have a marketing conversation with you?
Yeah.
So go to certainpath.com to learn more.
mycertainpath.com.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, Chris, this has been so insightful. I appreciate everything that you shared with us today. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.